they're all key races, but how the New Zealanders would love to go in 4-2 ahead and at match point, just one race win away from being confirmed as the America's Cup challengers. Peter Burling really badly needing to sort out these starts of his.
And Nathan Artemis has to figure out how to finish. So we keep saying match point. This has a bit of tennis match to it, doesn't it? Each team has held serve so far. If you go off of that philosophy, Artemis is serving this time around. It would be their turn. It's fascinating how, you know, in the older match racing days with the monohulls, the boats would come together and essentially stay glued to each other the entire pre-start. This is anything but. These guys separate a mile apart, then just come zooming back at each other again. It's really fascinating how they must sit around at their video screens at night to try to come up with these strategies.
The pre-start dance well underway between the Swedes, led by Nathan Artemis, who of course had trouble in that second race with his dagger ball. Really prevented them from finishing the race. And the Kiwis under Peter Burling, who are just remarkably consistent, but looks like it's game on out there because these two coming together really tight. There's the protest from the New Zealanders.
Flag it, flag it, flag it. That means certainly Emirates Team New Zealand thought they had an overlap, and clearly Chief Umpire Richard Slater did not think they had an overlap. He's the guy with the final say. Only 20 seconds to the start. This is going to very quickly turn into time and distance. Emirates Team New Zealand, though, this time going from that higher speed side of the line.
Looks like they might have timed this really nicely. The New Zealanders, they are up and they are onto their foils and they are in front. But the Swedish boat speed is picking up quite drastically on the inside of them, beyond 40 knots.
There is no doubt, Paul Kayard on the water called this earlier, there is no doubt that these lighter air foils are slower on a reach. They might be better upwind, they might be even okay downwind, but on a reach, look at these guys, they're going to sail, they're sailing off the island right now, off the race course. It's become a real strategy of Artemis Racing. Push them way away from this line and then just try to stretch out their gap. I'm sorry, but this could be a rerun of pretty much every race we've seen so far.
Well, they are driving the Kiwis further and further away from the first mark at this point. And you just get the impression that they know they've got to make hay on this first reach. They've got to build as big a lead as they possibly can to keep the Kiwis at arm's length, because the New Zealanders will feel they can reel them in from pretty much anywhere. This kind of distance is going to be nothing for them in their mind.
Here we go again. Kiwis will just keep it close, keep the pressure on, see if Artemis cracks. It's really that simple. Going out to Paul Kayard on the water. Paul, why do you think that the lighter air, longer foils of New Zealand show up really as a deficiency on that first reach, but they really don't seem to on the run? You would think the reach and the run have kind of similar modes for dagger boards.
Yeah, well, I think as you know, Kenny, the run, you're VMG sailing a little bit, so you take it down. You're not quite as high speed as you are on that 100-degree reach. So that's the highest speed leg of the whole race, from the start to the first mark, and that's where the Kiwis are paying for it the most. So the wind's still about 11 knots overall, so let's see how the rest of the race pans out for them.
That 11-knot alley is right at the transition where most of these teams kind of toss a coin whether which ones they're going to use.
Round gate 2, Swedes in front, setting the pace, setting the agenda, and now they have to make sure that they keep their foot on the throat of the Kiwis, and that has proved a very difficult thing for them to achieve. An early tack from the New Zealanders. They're not interested in sailing close to the Swedes. They want to head off early, get out into the open water, hunt down that extra bit of breeze that they might find.
I think that left-hand mark was certainly favored, more of an upwind mark, so they chose not to split at that bottom gate, to follow them around and then tack. So they didn't give up the distance at the gate, but they got kind of a semi-split here. They got free air, that's for sure.
Discrepancy between everybody there, but Kelly Tollan, the sole grinder up in the 90s. Nathan Outridge's heart's pumping fast enough for a helmsman at 81.
Wing trimmer Ian Jensen.
Okay, set up soft on port, hard starboard. Potential dial.
Who's got the easiest job?
Do it early, all right? Here we go.
You and me.
Early.
Okay.
Early. Up.
This is getting close. There was a left-hand shift going up this leg. Artemis Racing actually started a dial down there. Kiwis got right back into it on a bit of a left-hand wind shift. Kiwis did a big dip, thinking they were going to get dialed even harder, and kind of gave up a bit of distance, gave that distance right back again.
There's a great race brewing here, you feel. Very little in it. Decent wind speed. Great boat speed.
Yeah, I think the breeze is going slightly back right again. I tell you, the Kiwis, either they're playing the wind shifts better or they're flying, because they seem a little higher and a little faster on this leg. Go back and look at this tacking across. The Kiwis tack to port tack. Immediately Artemis dials right down at them. 90 degrees, Kiwis go way low and actually come off their foils a little bit there and give up 8 or 10 boat lengths on that dial down. So very effective dial down maneuver by Nathan Outridge and Artemis Racing. Still not much in it though. Tacking right on top, wing wash will come into effect here for sure.
So this is where the Swedes try to spoil the air of the New Zealanders alongside them and a little bit in the slipstream, looking to try to ensure that they don't get a clear run at it, but Kiwis are not interested.
Yeah, it's not like car racing where you can do a little bump draft, that it's an effective being behind, but
Even saving the pack.
are going to think we're just simply quicker upwind. Let's keep this close and we can get them on the next upwind leg. Keep it close if you're a Kiwi fan. That's what you're thinking. Pretty big split here right now though. Big split on the race course. A wind shift when the boats get this far apart absolutely magnifies the situation.
There go the Swedes.
Good pressure
Tacking
coming.
one final time. The New Zealanders have done similarly on the other side of the course. There is not going to be a huge amount in this as they head to gate 3.
But it looks like the left-hand mark at the top of the gate, it looks like that mark right up here is closer. So it'll be interesting to see if Artemis tacks for it or if they continue all the way across. They're crossing ahead of New Zealand easy, but it sure looks like the wind has shifted on the race course, and both boats are going to round these marks at very similar moments. Sure enough, almost exactly the same turn time.
Nip and tuck between these two.
Let's go, Paul Kayard. Has there been a general trend to the wind going in one direction or another? It looks like the race course is a little tilted right now.
Yeah, Kenny, you're right. The wind is skewed to the left of the axis a little bit. But I'm also pretty impressed. I think the Kiwis are going really fast because when they went in the right corner on that last part of the beat, it's right behind the highest land around, and I kind of thought they might get light over there, but they didn't. So, yes, the course is skewed, but the Kiwis are fast.
2, 1, yep.
boat, unquestionably our noisiest boat in the fleet. Not just because of the communications on board, the talkative nature of their crew, but it tends to make a really high-pitched howling noise.
And they've made the big gain on this side of the race course. So not only did that split at the top gate work as far as getting the Kiwis around the gate mark, almost identical time, but here they make yet another pass. Upwind and downwind, they're going really fast right now.
Did everything we can. That's good. High wing. 2, 1, or jump. Hey. Good. Turn, Sam, turn. Okay, high wheel. Great. Get it ripping here, guys. Ease.
Neat and tidy on the jibe for Artemis Racing. Kiwis, though, really flying up the far end of the course. 100% fly time for both crews at the moment. Hulls out of the water, on the foils, all the way.
Always thought this was going to happen. As the event went along, the boats would just become more and more perfectly sailed.
Numbers are good. 2, 1.
That means boat speed comes more into play. You take essentially that 100% on both boats means that nobody's really made that fatal mistake. So boat speed is the thing that takes over. Look at this. These guys jibe directly in front.
5 for the roundup.
Artemis. Will Artemis split to the other side or follow them in?
They're going to have to make their play right here, right now. They're following them round.
Boat race. This is a boat race.
So tight on their tail, the Swedes.
Within 2 meters, going 25, 30 knots amongst friends.
And now bearing away on the tack, the Swedes.
Let's go on board and listen to these guys for a minute.
That top left mark is favoured. Open course rid of the motor. You're lifted here.
Board with Artemis on the audio. Kiwis just look fast.
So the New Zealand is just this very slick, well-oiled machine, totally confident in their boat and their boat handling. The way everybody interacts.
Both boats going very similar speeds through the water, but I'm maintaining that the VMG, or the velocity made good, is much better for Team New Zealand right now. So we just saw a tack on Sweden, but both boats are going a similar boat speed through the water. Let's wait for these 2 tacks to happen, and that bottom number on both sides is the key number. Once the boats settle in, let's see who has a better VMG toward the mark. The Kiwis just look like they're going about the same speed, but just higher toward the wind, pointing closer to the wind than Artemis Racing all the time.
1.5 legs of this race remaining. And look at the Kiwis there. Told us to keep an eye on that bottom number, Kenny. It was picking up from a New Zealand perspective.
They did. As the boats settled in on the tacks, they were 3 or 4 knots faster. I mean, usually in the boats that Paul Gaillard and I have sailed our whole lives, Paul, 1/10 of a knot was a beautiful thing. These guys are talking 3, 4, 5 knots.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game for sure. 1/10 of a knot was a huge deal in our day.
Just higher. I mean, you look at the angle that Team New Zealand, they're just pointing higher all the time than Artemis Racing.
Are we now at the stage of the race, Ken, where the Swedes are going to have to hope that the Kiwis make a mess somewhere?
And it's not something the red boat is apt to do very often. We've seen that throughout this entire series so far. It's a fine line between waiting for the guy to make a mistake in front of you and pure desperation. And as a tactician, you kind of have to make that call at some stage. We gotta try something, or let's just stick with him.
Towards make or break time for the Swedish crew. This could really change things this race. The New Zealanders leading 3-2. The difference, quite obviously, between a 4-2 lead overnight and 3 points apiece if the Swedes pull it off, just enormous. So much pressure coming to bear on Nathan Outridge and the rest of his team at this point.
Daggerboard choices have just become such an integral part of this America's Cup. Slower on that first reach, behind every single race at mark number 1 for Emirates Team New Zealand so far. And right now they're cruising off to a 4-2 series lead. Really kind of unheard of.
Wait and see what he does. 15 to boundary, standing by.
Gate 5. And downwind for the last time in the race. Time running out for Artemis Racing here. The Kiwis have set the agenda. They've forced the pace of the race pretty much from the outset. Certainly chasing down the Swedes to very good effect after that first mark. They've got them where they want them. Hard to see them tripping up from here.
They have gone every time the Kiwis get ahead, they just extend. Always the sign of a quicker boat. Long port tack. It really takes away the options here. If you're Sweden, let's go back out to Paul for a second. If you're Sweden, what do you do?
It's not much. They can only hope for some kind of a breakdown or a massive screw up by Team New Zealand. I think Kenny, it's going to be one jibe and in probably for New Zealand. And yeah, it's tough. They're going to have to regroup tonight and come out swinging.
As an old boss of mine told me a long time ago, hope is not a strategy that you want to really rely on.
Well, the effort is still going in, but the hopes are fading, and fading fast at this stage. The New Zealanders, so well organised, so well drilled, so confident, and cruising across the top of the water. The Cyclaws certainly seem to have given them some sort of edge. And as we've discussed through the opening fortnight here, it might be only just one of a number of different little edges that are adding up to their excellence on the water.
That's exactly correct. There'll be one more jibe through this gate, and actually, it looks like they might have to jibe a couple times to get to the finish line. The finish line is actually really dead downwind from this gate, from this final gate. So without a big mishap by Emirates Team New Zealand, this race looks pretty over.
So the final gate, they're cutting it pretty fine. And that's just about as animated as you'll hear Peter Burling.
Well, there's the mishap that Artemis Racing is looking for right now. Are they out of hydraulic pressure to be able to do these two jibes very quickly?
Well, Artemis speed is right down now for the Kiwis, only at 15, 16 knots.
Artemis screaming up from behind.
Yeah, easy. Weight up. Full weight up.
And now it is anybody's. Would you believe the Swedes right back in the hunt from out of nowhere? Will the New Zealanders manage to hang on? There is absolutely nothing in it. New Zealand tearing across the water. They are just about going to nose it. Oh my goodness, what a breathless finish. There is the protest from the Swedish boat. Is that going to make a difference at this
Certainly
point?
a bit of a desperation protest. I didn't see anything both over the monitors or live or on the monitor that the Kiwis did wrong there.
Still no decision on the penalty, so
Hey, Chase 1, are you close?